Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 episode number 98 based on novel. So let's start. Luo Feng led the way, and the God King Wu Xin used the sky hidden escape technique to lead the team to the nearby area. Look! Luo Feng looked into the distance. In the distance ahead, there were several swaying purple flowers emitting a little purple light which had a strong attraction to practitioners like Luo Feng. The rare treasures produced in the dream realm are of great benefit to the lives in our cages. Guizhou Emperor observed, this is a relatively common purple heart realm flower. Each plant is worth 3 million merits. From a distance, there are a total of 7 purple heart realm flowers. The value of treasures on the origin continent is evaluated based on the contributions of the 2 ancient countries. Where are the creatures from the dream realm? Asked the God King Wu Xin. Over there. Luo Feng pointed to the distance. Around those flowers, the seemingly ordinary trees are actually plant life. Once you get close, you will be besieged by 9 plant life. Luo Feng pointed out the 9 inconspicuous trees. Emperor Guizhou looked at them and said, it's not difficult to deal with them, but you have to be careful not to affect the treasures. As agreed beforehand, Sister Yunqian will cast the poison mist, Brother Wu Xin, and I will do it. Brother Luo will protect the safety of these treasures. Wu Xin, Yunqian, and Luo Feng all nodded. Luo Feng knew very well that in terms of the mysterious moves, he was far inferior to Wu Xin Shenhuang and Guizhou Di Jun. His advantage was that he had many clones and could resist. So at the critical moment, he could entangle the dream creatures and try his best to protect those treasures. Do it. Using the sky hiding technique, the 4 of them quickly approached the purple flowers. Bus tilde 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 tilde. Invisible rules began to ripple, and the figures of the 4 people including Luo Feng appeared. Under the guidance of the life rules of the 9 big trees, huge branches turned into big hands and covered them. There were also tree roots rushing out from the ground and wrapping around Luo Feng and the others. In the dream realm, the various treasures that are bred seem to be the key to the operation of the dream realm. Once you get close to the treasure, the operating rules of the dream realm will make any escape method appear. Even the alien existences of the 2 realms palace, the 10,000 laws building, and the time and space lone boat will be forced to appear by the operating rules of the dream realm when they get close to the treasure. Although Luo Feng came to the dream realm for the first time, he could already feel the operating rules within the dream realm. The operating rules of the dream realm are very unique, and completely different from the supreme rules of the origin continent. The operating rules of the dream realm were not as perfect as the supreme rules of the origin continent. But the level was also very high, far surpassing the caged lives of Luo Feng and his group. The 9-headed tree life, the 3-headed strong one is more terrifying than the Lord of Qinquan Kingdom, and the 6-headed weak one is also invincible at the first level of the God King realm. It's just that their moves are relatively stupid and their intelligence is relatively low, which is also the common feature of all dream realm creatures. At this moment, the lives of the 9 big trees were being eroded invisibly. The bodies of all these big trees were eroded and damaged. The 6 weak ones were eroded with a lot of holes almost instantly, and the strength of the 3 strong ones was also greatly damaged due to the erosion. What a terrible poison! Luo Feng was very surprised when he saw this scene. I heard that this poison not only corrodes the body but also the soul. The God King of the Thunder God Kingdom was poisoned and his soul was instantly extinct. He died completely and didn't even have time to reincarnate. This is the God King Yunqian. Her poison was not any poison under the supreme rules. It was a terrifying poison excavated from the middle origin bloodline. Even if it could only be used a little, life forms below the ultimate realm would be afraid of this poison. Including Emperor Guizhou and God King Wu Xin, they must also be dealt with caution. It's invisible and colorless, and we can't see how it's performed. All these creatures in the dream realm are affected. Luo Feng understood why the Samsara building made an exception and recruited a first-level divine king. Boom! 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 3 horrifying thunders struck the 3 powerful tree lives, leaving them broken in an instant. Emperor Guizhou showed 8 arms, each of which held a weapon. The power of each weapon was extremely terrifying. The 8 arms attacked at the same time, and in the blink of an eye, the 3 broken tree lives were completely shattered and annihilated. The God King Wuxin was even faster. He only used 6 swords in succession, and those 6 swords killed the 6 weaker tree creatures whose strength had been greatly damaged. Luo Feng used the power of the world to protect the treasure, and was ready to resist the impact with his body. Fortunately, Emperor Guizhou and God King Wuxin acted decisively and did not affect the flowers and plants nearby. The intelligence records that Emperor Guizhou is cultivating the great way of the origin of matter. But his 8 arms can unleash 8 kinds of moves such as thunder, blood, fire, and water. With the coordination of these 8 moves, even the second level of the God King cannot withstand it. Luo Feng could sense the horror of the coordination of these 8 moves. In terms of strength, he can fight against powerful plant life in a one-on-one fight. But to destroy it? Luo Feng couldn't do it. It was destroyed so quickly and neatly. Even though there was the poison from the God King Yunqian, the power of the Emperor Guizhou still frightened Luo Feng. As expected, he handed over the secret treasure and was able to reincarnate even under the siege of the 3 emperors' long-planned killing moves. Moreover, what he is showing at this moment are probably just some ordinary moves, not desperate killing moves. It's pretty easy. Guizhou Emperor smiled and observed the purple flowers. These 7 purple heart realm flowers are all of good quality. Wuxin, you can pick them. The God King Wuxin nodded. Luo Feng and God King Yunqian watched from the side. This was all planned in advance. Among the 4 of them, Wuxin Shenwang has the strongest ability to protect his life and is the most suitable to carry treasures. They will distribute them after they leave the dream realm. According to the prior agreement, Guizhou Emperor and Wuxin God King each accounted for 35%. Luo He needed to explore the way and accounted for 20%. And Yunqian God King accounted for 10%. In the harsh environment of the dream realm, exploring the way is extremely important. If anyone makes a significant contribution during the process, we will have friendly discussions afterwards to adjust the distribution ratio. The Wuxin God King was very skilled and picked all 7 purple heart flowers. He then looked at Luo Feng and said with a smile, "Brother Luo He, how many treasures we can get depends on how many you can find. We're already trying very hard to find it." Luo Feng said. The 9 clones he sent out were heading to one area after another regardless of the danger. Time passes. Luo Feng and his team were very efficient. On average, they discovered a treasure every 1 or 2 days. These treasures were of great help to the second level of Divine King and were very valuable. Luo Feng was in a very good mood. According to the 20% ratio, he could earn at least millions of merits every time. This was much faster than earning money from the guest mission of the Yangfeng ancient country. Emperor Guizhou, Wuxin God King, and Yunqian God King were all very calm, because they were used to it. For Emperor Guizhou at this level, it was normal to come to the dream realm and earn hundreds of millions of merits. Of course, if you fail and die here, the loss will be huge. Emperor Guizhou and God King Yunqian had both lost their true bodies in battle while traveling in various treasured places. They had died in battle more than once. However, they had already condensed some of their Hunyuan bloodline from their true bodies and kept it hidden in the outside world. They only needed enough treasures to nourish them and they could cultivate again. Except for the time when he died and reincarnated on his own initiative, the God King Wuxin had never died while adventuring in the treasure land. In this space, I have been allocated more than 10 million merit treasures. According to the plan, I am going to explore the 5 spaces in the middle level of the dream realm. Luo Feng thought. The more space you explore, the more accidents are likely to occur. This accident may come from the dream realm itself or from other practitioners. The 5 spaces were determined by Emperor Guizhou and his men based on past experience. After exploring the 5 spaces, Luo Feng estimated that the gains should be over 100 million merits. This is the resource that the truly powerful people in the origin continent value. Compared with these treasured lands, the resources brought by ruling a country, are not that attractive. It's just that the ordinary God Kings, Chaos Realm, disciples, and family clans under their command need the territory more. The team from the Two Realms Palace was also exploring this mountain and forest space. The white-haired palace master suddenly raised his head and looked into the distance. The other 6 second-level God Kings in the team all looked at the palace master. They all trusted the palace master's abilities. Interesting. After the white-haired palace master locked onto a breath, he raised his head and looked into the distance. His gaze followed the breath through the endless long distance and saw Luo Feng and his team who were taking action. It's the team from the Samsara building, and one of them is Gueshu. The white-haired palace master said with a smile. When moving around in the treasure land, one's identity is hidden. In this way, even if one obtains precious treasures, the origin continent will not know the true identity of the strong person who obtained the treasure. But Emperor Gueshu doesn't care. He is also not allowed to be seen in the outside world. Samsara building? Them again? The 6 God Kings of the second level behind him were all hostile. Although there are few members in the Samsara building, they have fought for treasures time and time again, but the Two Realms Palace has lost more than they have won and suffered a lot of losses, so naturally the hostility has grown. Since we have met old friends from the Samsara building, of course we have to give them some gifts. The white-haired palace master said, the Dream Realm biological group we discovered before is very protective of its people. Jiryu, go to that biological group and capture a creature, and lead that Dream Realm biological group to the Samsara building team. Let the Dream Realm creatures inflict heavy damage on them first, and then we will take action to kill them all in one fell swoop. We will kill as many of their real bodies as we can. The white-haired palace master had a cold look in his eyes. He unites the members of the Two Realms Palace. But towards those who are not members of the Two Realms Palace and other forces competing with him for treasures, he has never been merciful. Palace Master, leave it to me. The winged woman was also very excited. I don't know how many dream spaces this Samsara building team has explored. I guess the harvest is not small. If we destroy their real bodies, we may be able to get some treasures. This little building of reincarnation destroyed my real body last time. They were all hostile. Luo Feng and his other 3 were drinking and enjoying delicious food by the lake. Of course, Luo Feng's 9 clones continue to search for treasure. We'll have to search for treasures a few more times in this forest and that'll be enough. Gueshu Emperor said, we can go to the lower dream space. Yes. Luo Feng nodded. We have taken all the treasures that are easier to obtain. The remaining treasures are indeed heavily guarded. Some are guarded by ultimate Dream Realm creatures, and some are guarded by a large group of Dream Realm creatures. The God King Wuxin suddenly frowned and turned to look into the distance. Emperor Gueshu, God King Yunqian, and Luo Feng also became alert, but their sensing abilities were far inferior to that of God King Wuxin. Call! Suddenly, a winged woman appeared from nothingness, holding a stone monster and rushed towards Luo Feng and his group. From the Two Realms Palace? Although they didn't know the real identity of the winged woman, Emperor Gueshu and the others had seen her in disguise many times. Here's a gift for you. The winged woman sneered. Bang! The winged woman was carrying the stone monster, and when they got close to Emperor Gueshu and his men, they suddenly exploded as if they were hit by an invisible wave, and both the winged woman and the stone monster were blown to pieces. Boom tilde tilde tilde. I saw towering stone monsters appearing from the void, followed by smaller stone monsters. At first glance, there were hundreds of stone monsters densely packed together. These stone monsters stood in midair, some even shedding tears, and then looked at Luo Feng and the other 3 with endless hatred. Their anger made the entire world begin to turn blood red, and their might frightened Luo Feng and the others. At this moment, in the distance, the team from the Two Realms Palace, led by the Palace Master, was watching this scene with the help of secret techniques. Not good. Emperor Gueshu, God King Wuxin, and God King Yunqian all changed color. The 3 of them had explored the Dream Realm many times and had much more experience than Luo Feng. They knew very well how terrifying this huge race of Dream Realm creatures was. The most terrifying thing about the Dream Realm creatures is that their strength can be perfectly coordinated, as if they were one. Boom tilde tilde tilde. The sky and earth began to turn bloody. The operating rules of the Dream Realm were changing with hundreds of stone monsters as the core. They looked at Luo Feng and his friends with endless hatred. The vast surrounding area was generating a tremendous binding and squeezing force, squeezing Luo Feng and the other four. This binding and squeezing was not a force. It was a rule. Luo Feng's world power could not be weakened, and Guishu Emperor and his methods could not resist it, so they could only resist it. The more creatures in the Dream Realm, the greater the impact on the Dream Realm's operating rules. Hundreds of Dream Realm creatures have greatly affected the surrounding rules. We have to find a way to escape. Guishu Emperor transmitted a voice. My hiding heaven escape technique is also suppressed by the Dream Realm rules and cannot be hidden. Wuxin God King was also anxious. Any escape method, including the alien existence behind the Liangjie Palace, Wanfa building, and time and space lonely boat, cannot be hidden and evaded under the rules of aliens. If you can hide, you can steal all kinds of treasures at will. My poison fog has also been suppressed and cannot spread. Although the poison fog of Yunqian God King is invisible and difficult to spy on, the Dream Domain operation rules suppress it in all directions at this moment, and also suppress the poison fog. Roar tilde tilde tilde. Accompanied by the roar of the largest stone monster, a large group of stone monsters killed at the same time, and the whole world was trembling. Emperor Guishu immediately showed his 8 arms and collided with the leader of the stone monsters. Bang! The leader of the stone monster was extremely large, and his huge arms smashed over. There was no mystery, only endless and overwhelming power. The 8 arms of Emperor Guishu held weapons to resist, and there were many mysteries such as unloading force, borrowing force, and counterattack. But after a collision, the Emperor Guishu was shocked and flew backwards, and the stone monster leader only took a step back. Don't fight it head on. The Emperor Guishu transmitted, its strength is equal to mine. In terms of power, the stone monster leader far surpassed it. It was just that the Emperor Guishu was high enough in realm to fight on equal terms. The Wuxin God King drew his sword, and the moment he drew his sword, the sword in his hand split into countless dense sword shadows which covered the stone monsters. The invisible field naturally weakened these sword shadows, and the weakened sword shadows still fell on each stone monster. These stone monsters, the big ones were unscathed, and the small ones had some scars on their bodies. One move split into many sword shadows, and the power of the sword shadows was not great, but it also made the Wuxin God King understand the details of the entire Dream Domain biological group. The leader of this group of creatures in the Dream Realm has reached the peak of the 2nd level of the God King, and there are 92 of them who can also be regarded as the 2nd level of the God King. There are also more than 200 of them who can be regarded as the 1st level of the God King, and their bodies are all extremely tough. The God King Wuxin immediately sent a message to his companions. In the distance, the 2 Realms Palace team is here. The white-haired Palace Master used a secret method to make the confrontation between the Stone Monster group and the Samsara building team appear in the air in front of him. This huge group of creatures in the Dream Realm, the power is unified, forming a rule field. Suppressing all large-scale fields, it is difficult for the Samsara building to escape. The members of the 2 Realms Palace watched with joy. These Dream Realm creatures are estimated to have the strength of the 2nd level of the God King. The white-haired Palace Master smiled. They can easily defeat the Samsara building if they join forces. It is estimated that if one of the 4 of them can survive, it will be good. Dream Realm creatures don't care about secret treasures and weapons. We will go to finish off the treasures they left behind after their death, ha ha ha. Finally, the Samsara building has suffered a great loss. They watched from afar. Except for the Palace Master, the other 6 are also in the 2nd level of the God King realm, and are the overlords of the origin continent. In the outside world, they rarely have conflicts. But in some treasure lands, they are extremely contradictory. For example, if they also find a very precious treasure, will they be humble? Of course not. Fighting again and again, grievances are accumulated. The resource competition in the origin continent is very complicated. The idol god kings have grievances and conflicts with each other. For example, the mountain guest hates the three kings of the food kingdom. Many idol god kings also compete with the two ancient countries. Some idol god kings are friendly with the two ancient countries, and some have surrendered to the two ancient countries. Within the two ancient countries, even between emperors, and between monarchs and monarchs, they would also tear each other apart. You killed my disciples and their families, and took away my cultivation resources? So what if we are both emperors? You can do something dirty, so that I can't fight back. Only a few of the ancient beings with long lifespans can always have a very good relationship. Samsara building. The white-haired palace master watched this scene from afar. His true body was enough to rival the ancestors of the two countries. Among the resources left by Yuan, only some of the top ones attracted him. This samsara building has ruined my good deeds many times. The white-haired palace master has also suffered a lot. The samsara building has the Queen of Wind City and the God of the Earth. The strength of the top leaders is far beyond my side. For many powerful people on the origin continent, the members of the samsara building are a secret. But for the white-haired palace master, as long as he saw them once, he was sure of the identities of the Queen of Wind City and the God of the Earth. But what if his identity is seen through? Once the Queen of Wind City and the God King of the Earth in the Samsara building led the team into the treasure land, the teams of the Two Realms Palace, the 10,000 Laws building, and the space-time lonely boat could not fight. However, in the search for treasure land, the number of strong people is also very important. The Two Realms Palace has many members. As the largest force in the dark, there are many teams exploring the treasure land. As the palace master sent out the clone to assist, it is natural to share a large amount of credit. He doesn't want most of the treasures for these credits, but to exchange them for the opportunities and treasures he needs. Emperor Guishu sent a voice transmission urgently. We must find the flaws of this dreamland biological community as soon as possible, and then use the flaws to quickly kill out. Once the time is delayed for a long time, we can't escape. Except for Brother Wuxin, I'm afraid none of us can escape. The God King Yunqian was also anxious. In the team, Emperor Guishu and God King Yunqian do not have clones. Once their real bodies die, even if they practice with the help of a resurrection carrier, they have to start all over again. If they want to nourish the Hunyuan bloodline and restore their peak strength, it will be a huge expense. I'm afraid it will take the harvest of exploring the Dream Realm 10 times to make up for it. I'll try to find a flaw. Wuxin God King turned into a blurry stream of light in an instant. The blurry stream of light spread out, trying to cover a group of stone monsters. The leader of the largest stone monster looked at the large blurry stream of light and roared suddenly. This roar shook the heaven and earth, and the world was distorted. The might made the Emperor Guishu change color slightly, and also made the blurry stream of Wuxin God King condense into a true body again. Even though the God King Yunqian cultivated the Hunyuan bloodline and his body was extremely powerful, his skin was still cracked by the roar. Luo Feng's world life form also felt quite uncomfortable. This leader is too difficult. Wuxin God King was anxious. This time it's a big trouble. The Emperor Guishu waved his 8 arms and resisted with difficulty. Let me try. Luo Feng suddenly transmitted a voice. Guishu Emperor, Wuxin God King, and Yunqian God King were all stunned. He wants to try? Facing this huge group of dream creatures, it was mainly Guishu Emperor and Wuxin God King who were thinking of a response plan, and they did not expect the first-level God Kings, Yunqian God King and Luo God King, to be of any help. Luo Feng only observed for a few breaths, but also collected a lot of information about this group of stone monsters, and had a response plan in mind. Luo Feng, who was standing in place, suddenly turned into a dense black shadow in an instant, and black figures rushed in all directions. Luo Feng avoided the 4 strongest stone monsters. According to previous observations, the leader of the stone monsters is comparable to the Emperor of Guishu, and the 3 extremely powerful stone monsters are also comparable to the strength of the Lord of Qiankun. Luo Feng chose to give up completely and let Brother Guishu and Brother Wuxin resist. As for all the other stone monsters, Luo Feng took them all. More than 200 stone monsters of the first level of the God King also encountered more than 200 black-scaled and golden-horned Luo Feng. Each of the clones only has about 1 in 10,000 energy reserves of the world life. Each of them only uses stupid tricks, and the burden on the mind and will is also low enough. The world life with 1 in 10,000 reserves, even if it uses stupid tricks, has the ultimate strength of the first level of the God King, and can completely entangle these stone monsters. The stone monsters are stupid, and Luo Feng is the same. The stone monsters were tough and hard to destroy, and so was Luo Feng. He had never thought of destroying these stone monsters. Entanglement was much easier than destruction. There were still 89 stone monsters at the second level of the God King, and each of them encountered a clone with 1/2000th of the energy reserve. This clone was slightly weaker than the clone when Luo Feng fought with the Lord of Qianquan, but because he had mastered all 6 branches of the Great Tao of Destruction origin, Luo Feng's fighting methods were greatly improved. These 89 clones, in terms of moves, were barely at the level of the God King, but for the stone monsters, they were absolutely superior in terms of moves. And these 89 stone monsters were generally weaker than the Lord of Qianquan. 89 clones, entangled with 89 stone monsters at the second level of the God King, Luo Feng felt okay, he could still hold on. Maintaining more than 300 clones at the same time. Even Luo Feng's soul foundation is far deeper than all the God Kings. Even if his mind and will have reached the limit bottleneck of the God King level. But he also felt that he had reached the limit of his mind. Boom tilde tilde tilde. More than 300 stone monsters and more than 300 black-scaled golden-horned figures entangled and fought. The bodies of both sides were tough and indestructible, full of vitality. Huh? The leader of the stone monsters and the 3 extremely strong stone monsters were stunned. Only the 4 of them were not entangled. This? Emperor Guishu, God King Wuxing, and God King Yunqian were a little confused even though they were knowledgeable. How is it possible? How can this be done? Impossible. The 2 Realms Palace team watching from a distance couldn't believe what they saw. Each of his clones can resist the creatures of the Dream Realm. To control so many clones at the same time is like controlling a huge group of creatures in the Dream Realm by himself. Even if his tricks are stupid, controlling such a huge life, the burden on the soul, the burden on the mind and will, this is definitely not something a normal God King can do. A thin figure said. More than 300 clones, each of them can have such strength. How does he control it? Is his mind and will beyond the level of God King? But there are only a few people in the entire Origin continent who can do this. The overlords of the 2 Realms Palace present were unwilling to believe it. They were knowledgeable and understood how difficult it was to achieve this. The white-haired palace master was also secretly shocked when he saw this scene. I can't even tell the identity of this black-scaled golden-horned guy. Obviously, his aura is hidden to an incredible degree. How does he control so many clones? Soul path? Or other reasons? The white-haired palace master remembered the appearance of the black-scaled golden-horned guy. Another mysterious strong man. Emperor Guishu, God King Wuxing, and God King Yunqian were all stunned by Luo Feng. Brother Guishu, Brother Wuxing, why don't you start? More than 300 black-scaled and golden-horned Luo Feng urged at the same time, I have already held them back, quickly defeat them one by one. Luo Feng felt tired to deal with so many dream creatures at the same time. Okay. Emperor Guishu and God King Wuxing responded, feeling that their cognition was overturned. The God King of the first level can actually do this? Not long ago, when Brother Luo he fought with the Lord of Qianquan, didn't he control 10 clones? This video will end here.